What is up, everyone, and welcome to another Rust electrical tutorial. I'm Gneissish, and today we are talking about the trap circuit. I'm going to show you the basic version of the trap circuit, and then I'm going to show you kind of a version of it that I use in 2x1 sometimes, just kind of an application of it. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. So you're going to need 4 items for the basic version of this, which is 2 door controllers, a memory cell, and a button. Obviously, you can use, say, a smart switch instead of a button if you like, but for the just sort of starter version, the button's nice because it supplies its own power. So there's going to be 2 sides to this. The green line, which is going to be the entrance to your base, you know, this mock base here. The entrance to the trap itself will be here. And then the trap side, the red line is going to be the trap door side, and this is going to be the doors that open the trap the player to kill them. And I'm just going to show you how this circuit automatically swaps these doors for you based on what's going on, and then we'll of course look at it over there. So we're going to just get started by running these lines. So the memory cell has 2 outputs. It's got an inverted output and an output. Its default configuration, where default setting when you first power it, is the inverted output. That's connected to the reset button. So if you send power to the reset input here, it's going to set it back to the inverted output. If you send power to the set input, it's going to send it to the output. So, and all it's doing is swapping between these 2 based on what happens with these. So, you know, if you reset it, it's going to swap to the invert, and then if you set it, it's going to set to the output. And all it's doing is whatever the power coming in here is, it's just routing it either out this way or it's routing it out that way, and that's all it's doing. There's also a toggle function we don't use for this circuit, but all that does is every time it receives power, it toggles between them just with one button here. And so, one input, sorry. So whatever you send into the memory cell is what you're going to get out depending on what side it's exiting. Now, something to keep in mind is that the memory cell does not use power. It says it does. So whatever you have coming out of here, you've actually got one more than that, at least as of this video, until they patch that or fix it. Yeah, so let's just get this wired. So we're going to send the green line out, the inverted out. We want that to run over to here. You'll notice I have these lights that I'm hooking to. These are just for this tutorial. You would not use these, so I'm using 1 extra volt, obviously. But this is just to better show you what side of the memory cell is currently active. So you would just run yours straight from the inverted right to your door controller. On the red side here, I'm going to run this to this other one, the red line right there. And so all I've done is just hook these to each of these door controllers. The button I'm going to use is going to be for the reset, because that's how, once the trap has been fired and you want it to reset it for your next victim, you're going to need some way to do that. The button's an easy way to do that. You just have to be present in order to do it. The other thing you have to think about is, you know, the set input is whatever triggers your trap. And so a lot of people use the pressure plate, and that's fine. I don't tend to do that, and I'll explain that in a moment. But if you're gonna use a pressure plate, I suggest you put something to cover it, obviously, or they'll know. A rug works great. Put the rug down first, because the rug sometimes doesn't want to place over the pressure plate, and the pressure plate will place anywhere in the rug. So put the rug down first. When you put the pressure plate down, it disappears under the rug, and then you can still get to those power in, power outs. Now this supplies its own power just exactly like the button does. And so you can run this straight out to your set input on your memory cell, just like this. And that's it. This is the reset to reset it, and this is that's to trigger the trap. And so the only thing left is to run some power from a power source of some kind. You only need, technically you only need 1 volt, because this doesn't use 1, but 2 is the default from a branch, so that's fine. And so now we're set. So this is now actually you'll notice the green light's on, so we're on the inverted output side. And that's the entrance to the door. That's the curious player walks into this door. And what happens is they walk into that door, they step on your pressure plate, and it locks them in. It opens another door that's aimed at them, and they get killed, and their body's locked in there. And importantly, it doesn't matter how many times you run over this. Once it's set, it's set. You have to press the reset in order to reset the trap back to its original position. And that's actually it. It's a really, really simple trap. It requires very little power. You can do this with a single solar panel and 1 car battery, and that's actually overkill. So it's pretty easy to do. And all you have to just recognize is what it is it's doing. So I just set it again that way. If I reset it here, there you go, it goes right back. And so that's how it works. Now, like I said, I don't use the pressure plate. I prefer to use the the laser, actually, because it's really easy to hide and you don't have to do things like put rugs down, which can be kind of suspicious, right? So I like to use the laser, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab another branch. You don't even actually technically have to grab another branch. You know, the way I set it up in the 2x1 I'll show you is a little different, but I'm going to just set this up just for continuity with my other videos, because this is how I always set these up. So I'm going to just daisy chain a branch off of here. You're going to need to send 2 volts to the laser, because you need 1 to power the laser and 1 to pass through to this set input. And so then I'm just going to, I guess we can just keep it red. I'm going to just send out from that branch out. I'm going to run that over to this laser. There we go. And then the power out of that laser is going to run up and over to the set input up here. And there you go. And so now the laser is set, and I was actually standing in front of it, so it triggered. So if I reset the trap, you know, obviously you can see this, and we'll get to that here in a moment. The laser is very, very visible. And all it does is the same thing that the pressure plate did. And so if I cross the laser, it's going to send power to the set input, which is going to switch it to the output side. If I do that, you'll see that it switches over. Our red light's on, and now we're set. Doesn't matter how many times you run through this laser, it's going to stay that way until you, the person who owns this, resets this from some safe location. So this is a great circuit to use in the entryway of your base. You can do this anywhere. I mean, so I'm going to show you an actual 2x1 trap base that I use. And you know, but I also put this in the entryway into my base. You don't need a whole lot of room to do this. So this is a very, very, very useful circuit. Okay, so I think that's pretty clear. I'm just going to show you guys how I do this one. And so you'll notice that I've set this up as if it's a 2x1 that's been, you know, lived in. Someone raided the door. I made this top piece here wood to kind of suggest that maybe I was going to expand. You know, there's things you want to do. You want to try and be clever when you do this. Sometimes I'll even just not have this on there at all and make it look like somebody, you know, raided this front thing and blew this up. And so, you know, it kind of depends on how you want to set it up, but you want to just be clever about it. And so that's why I don't like using the pressure plate, because you'd have to put a rug down here, which, yeah, people use rugs. But I think it's a little bit obvious sometimes. So if I walk into this base, there you go. The trap sets, the garage door came down. I would have been killed by these. And there you go. And this is the exact thing that I built over there. We have the memory cell. The green line here is running to the entrance, right? So that's running to this garage door here. And the red line is running to the trap door, which is this door right here. And the button actually is up here hidden. I'll get to that in a moment, but that's the yellow line is running to the button. And then what I did was I just used, instead of branching off 2 branches, I just used a splitter, or I'm sorry, I used a branch as a splitter for the laser, which is behind this this furnace here, because it'll block the laser's path, but the laser still functions, which is awesome. And so all I did was run this I have a solar panel, and I'm using this technique. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. I honestly can't remember who I learned this from, but you can set a solar panel up so that you actually can get solar through the wall and hide the fact that you have power, which is even, you know, another cool thing you can do. I saw this. I know Rex Moore just made a video about this, and he referenced someone else in his video. I can't recall who I learned this from, but a lot of people have covered it. It's an awesome trick, so kudos to whoever figured this out. And, you know, all I'm doing here is just I have a solar panel getting 20, keeping this battery going. I got one of these, I've got one branch, and one side of it's going to the laser, and the other half is going to the memory cell. It doesn't matter that I'm just wasting a bunch of volts, because we don't care. I just needed to power the laser so that I had power to the laser. I'll show you where it is. It's behind this furnace here, and then the output of that laser is running back to the set input so that it triggers the trap. And what I did was I just ran it behind all this stuff. I used a black line. I was very careful. You know, I put a tier 1 workbench here. I made it look lived in. You know, I got a fire pit and all this stuff. And I just hid that wire very carefully so that it's not visible from the front. And so if you take a furnace and you place it correctly, if you place it right in the middle, it'll shine through it. But if you place it just off to the side, like so, it blocks the laser and you can't see it. They can jump on this. I guess I didn't place it very well. Let me try that again. You normally can't see it if you do it right. So if you're careful about how you do it, there we go, that's better. It's hard, you can't get in there, you can't see it. And so This is a great way to hide. This is my favorite way to do it. I don't ever use a pressure plate. I do it this way. I just make it look lived in. I make it look realistic. I mean, even if you keep the, let's see, resources, some wood and some stone. Even if you keep the door here, this still looks really good. You know, I mean, like, it looks like you're expanding. That's why you can get away with the garage door. Another thing about the garage door is that because it's got the rolled up part, you can hide stuff. And that's exactly what I did right there. Because one of the problems is you could put the button in here if you want. You could take a button and you could place it in here, somewhere on the wall, wherever, and then run a line, you know, over to the input here. But you have to be in here. And once the button is set, once you use the button, you can't get out because the laser doesn't care about authorization. It's just going to go off if its path is crossed. So you're stuck in here. So if you want to be stuck in here and you're just waiting for players to come in, great, you can do that. I like the option of being in here or not in here. So what I do is I put the button up in this corner, and the way you do that, and I think I can actually show you, the way you do that is you just simply have to find the spot on the where you're standing where you can start clipping it into the wall behind the there's actually a door controller in there, so you can't really see it. That's what I did with the door controllers. I hid it back there behind that so you can't see it. But you can get right around here and you can just start clipping it until you hit the top of this frame in there and hide it. And the cool thing about that is that I can either be inside here and I can reset this and be inside, right? And so if I were to cross the thing, it's of course gonna set the trap off. But importantly, what I can do is I can leave if I want, and I can monitor the space from somewhere else. And so all I have to do to reset the base, if I don't want to use a smart switch, say, I can just press the button from out here. It resets. That stays open because that's where it's supposed to be. It's sitting right now. You know, right now the base in there is sitting at the inverted output, and so that this door is open. And then as soon as I cross that laser in there, it's gonna swap this to the output, which is this red line over here in our example, to the trapdoor, which is what happens when you run through, locking your body in. So yeah, that is about it. I mean, this is a pretty simple circuit. There's a lot you can do with this, obviously. If you guys are interested in how I built this literally, and you want to see an example, including the solar panel thing, I'm happy to make a video about that. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment below. You can get me on my Discord. See you later.